In 1909, a British company had obtained the monopoly for the extraction of oil from the fields of southern Iran. The oil was pumped to a refinery at Abadan. Here, the new black gold was boiled, barreled, and shipped away in the company's tankers.
The British-run Anglo-Iranian Oil Company paid Iranian workers significantly lower wages compared to their British counterparts, provided poor living conditions, and treated them as second-class employees in their own country. In the late 1940s, the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company employed 70,000 Iranians in Abadan, but they were paid very little, only $2 a day, while British workers made up to $200 a day.
You had the Europeans who had everything and the Persians who had nothing. The Persians could not ride the same bus which the Europeans used it at the time, or enter any clubs or any housing or any facilities. And this made them more angry than anything else.
Iranians complained that Britain took 9 times more revenue from the oil than Iran did. The mass of Iranians lived in grinding poverty. In the towns, there was a movement for change. The Iranian parliament, the Majlis, became the platform for a campaign to nationalize the oil company. For its leader, Mossadegh, this was the way to regain Iran's independence, a battle he had fought for 30 years. Now his moment had come. In April 1951, he became prime minister, but the British failed to take him seriously.
Mossadegh believed that either Iran and the Iranians have to develop their oil, or the oil can wait until there are enough Iranians to develop it. He told me once that under no circumstances I am going to sign a treaty or an agreement with any foreigner which in any way compromises the sovereignty of my country.
He took strong actions to end British control over Iran's oil, which was run by the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. He nationalized the oil industry, which made the British government very angry. Unhappy with the decision, the British asked the Americans to mediate.
The American ambassador in Tehran, Mr. Grady, recently paid a call on the Prime Minister to convey a letter from President Truman. It was a message urging Persia to negotiate with the British. Dr. Mossadegh, whose health is apparently not too good, transacts much of his business from his bed, and so it was on this occasion. A strange scene indeed, yet it would be hard to exaggerate the importance of the message or the problem to be solved.
Mossadegh said, well, you know what we want. We want to manage our own industry. But we are perfectly willing to keep your employees. We are perfectly willing to have an arrangement with you by which you will have all the oil that you need. But we cannot have you as a concessionaire.
The British government believed they were entitled to the vast majority of Iran's oil profits and were not willing to accept the Prime Minister's decision to nationalize the industry. Furious, they wanted to punish Iran and rejected any terms that would allow Iran to keep control over its oil. They ordered their employees to leave the country as part of their protest.
Right up to the last moment, Mossadegh did not want the British employees to leave. And he did everything in his power to keep them by assuring to them that they would receive the same treatment, if not better, as far as salaries were concerned, accommodation was concerned, all the conditions of employment. He wanted to keep them quite sincerely, and he kept on saying to the British, let us keep your employees as our employees. They said no.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mossadegh was on his way to the United Nations in New York. The British, unable to use force, had complained that his nationalization endangered world peace. Mossadegh rejected the charge. Real power rested with 2 rival empires. To the north, the Russians, and to the south, the British in India, for whom Persia was a buffer state. Never formally part of the British Empire, Iran was more completely governed by British imperial priorities than were most colonies.
The British were very concerned about the potential for the Soviet Union to gain influence over Iran's oil. While the British were primarily focused on protecting their own control over the Iranian oil industry, they were also worried that, if Iran were left in turmoil after the Prime Minister's nationalization, the Soviet Union could exploit the situation and gain a foothold in the region. In connivance with the Americans, they overthrew Mossadegh in a coup, giving the Shah full power and reclaiming control over Iran's oil.
Our policy was to get rid of Mossadegh as soon as possible. We didn't think he'd do any good to Iran. In the 2 years that he was there, it was too long for our thinking, he did nothing for Iran.
Impoverished again, after years of suffering, the Iranians launched a revolution in 1979, chased out the Americans and their ally, the Shah, and took back full control of their oil. This is why, today, Iran controls its own oil, unlike many other countries in the region. It was the determination of Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, who refused to bow to foreign powers because he wanted the best for his country, and the resilience and struggle of the Iranian people that ultimately secured their independence. Through sacrifices and revolution, they reclaimed their nation's wealth and sovereignty, shaping Iran's destiny on their own terms.